Hi, welcome to RCKicks on this frozen wasteland morning. Yes, the UK is now plummeted to minus figures, and that wouldn't be too bad unless your heating broke. Yes, the boiler broke.
Right, that's it. You're going to get a serious thrashing.
Typical. So it's going to be down for about 3 or 4 days. So that means when the kids go to school and my wife goes to work, I'm left freezing my cannolis off until they come home and I can fire up the fires. So yeah, we'll carry on anyway. And today we're going to be checking out this from Banggood. I think you find that's how you spin a box. Hashtag ban the ham. They just sent over the night track. Now this is a 1/10 buggy, so what we're going to do is open it up, have a look at it, see what you get for the money, and then check it out in the garden, which is going to be even colder, isn't it? Right, okay, let's open it up and see what you get for your money. Oh, it's so cold. I haven't even opened it up, so we're going to look at it myself. Box is quite large, so I'm hoping it's going to be reasonably decent. I'm not sure what the size of the box has to do with it, but hopefully it's actually a decent basher. Right, so what have we got? How's this work exactly? Do we just pull it out, I'm guessing? Oh, looks like I'm going to need to get some snips. That's a bit different. You don't normally see it like that. Seems to have been packed up reasonably well. I'm going to go and get some snips. I'll be right back. Right, okay, let's open it up. This is a bit different. Right, I think we're finally there. Transmitter, wow. There you go, it's got enough buttons, dip switches for you to keep you going. Bit cheesy plastic though. Right, so they've single wrapped up the wheels with what looks like tissue paper. Come on. Right. Oh. So we've got a tiny little manual. Right. Well, you know that I did this first time because I'm not repacking it up to do a second take. Right. So this does look very close to another truck that I reviewed. So there's no oil in the shocks. So I took them off to put some oil in them, and they're just solid plastic. You can't put oil in them. They're friction shocks and they're terrible. Reasonably hard tyres. Wow, that's a lot of offset. So what do you think? Look wise, it's not too bad. It does feel kind of cheesy though, I must admit. The body's not too bad. The tyres and the rims, that's a lot of offset you got there, so I'm not sure how long that's going to last before it just gets totally ripped off. But we will find out. Let's take the pins out. Come on. There we go. Right. That's for the body. Pretty standard stuff. Not that bad, actually. Reasonably all right. It's got a little spoiler on the back. Feels quite strong. Double button. Not sure how long that might last. Good start. The ESC is actually loose. It's come off its mounting, so I'll have to stick that back in again. Standard servo. Plastic chassis all round. The springs are huge. That's a lot of spring for very little travel, and it bottoms out way before you hit the deck. A lot. Look. So that's going to be putting a lot of stress on the car, that is. So yeah, I don't think they really thought about the suspension. The back's not too bad, but the front is miles off. So we could end up smashing the suspension on this one. It's got a metal prop, metal drive shafts, pretty much as basic as you get really. But the proof's in the pudding. The actual slop in the front isn't too bad. I've seen some pretty horrific ones. I think it's got metal diffs. Right, so best thing you can do is charge up a battery, which we get, and let's take it out and see how it goes. I can't say I'm overly sold. Two things that worry me the most. One is just how much offset these wheels have got and how much stress that's going to put on that upright, and the shocks. Right, so I've dropped a NIMH battery into it just for now. We'll do a LiPo as well. Let's have a look at the speed of the servo. Whoa, that's not exactly going to set the world on fire, is it? Well, it's noisy. Also, with the amount of, it's got 8 dip switches on the front, so I wanted to know, what are they? Are they for like lights or something like that? Well, one is to adjust the steering left and right to go reversed, same with throttle, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 don't do anything. There's no lights on this, there's no nothing. I pushed down on these 4 buttons to see if they did anything, and I've broken them. They're just placeholders, bits of plastic. So yeah, terrible. Now the motor in this one, let's have a look, is apparently 12,500 RPM, 7.4. One thing I've noticed, it has, I thought it had locking diffs, but no, it does have actual, it does actually have, but they are so tight. The diffs are super tight. The front is actually worse than the rear. And if I grab the front one, watch what happens to the truck. I'll pull the accelerator. There you go. It's cut out. The diffs are so stiff that on the front, when you hold it, it will trip out the ESC because it's too much resistance. So it has a terrible drive life. Yeah, so make of that what you will. So it's not really selling it to me, but let's take it out and give it a bit of a spin. Maybe it will change my mind. Right, so here we are on this beautiful sunny summer day in the UK, and we're going to take this thing out and see if it's going to surprise me or it's going to do what I think it's going to do. So let's see how good this car really is. That's it. Yeah, so that is flat out, and let's see what we got, shall we? And we did 14 miles an hour. Yeah, and I think a lot of that is down to how tight the drive line is. Right, let's see if you can take a little bit of punishment. So the first thing you can see is it's dreadfully slow. Yes, at the skate park, anyone that was older than maybe 6 or 7 is going to find this horrendously slow. But I guess if it's slow, it means it's less likely to get broken, right? Yeah, I guess so. Now it is actually fun to sort of zoom it around on the skate park and use these banks. That's all kind of okay, but if you're thinking about jumping it, well, that's kind of about as good as it gets. Now, because you don't have so much power, you can't apply power to adjust the jump, if you will, or back off. It doesn't seem to make any difference whatsoever, so it tends to just nose up all the time. If you come off the power, because you're not going fast enough, it makes no difference either. The big one, and the one that will stand out as you see the whole of the running footage, is just how horrendously bad the suspension is. It just bottoms out instantly and then makes the car bounce. Because the chassis doesn't travel all the way towards the ground, it just locks out the suspension and then just flips the car over. So one of the really worst things about this car is that suspension. Definitely want to be upgrading that pretty much straight away, and it's a real shame. The manufacturers of this car need to rip that rubbish pogo stick suspension off and put some proper oil dampers on it. That was clever. Cool. Now, because of the massive offset, I thought we were going to break an upright or definitely crack a rim, but all the way through this, not an issue at all. So I guess I was wrong about that. Oh, that's it, killed it. What's happened to it? I'm guessing the battery's just come disconnected. Everything Could be that. I think that might be the problem. So I think the motor is disconnected. Whoa! Yep, it's alive again. So that's the first kind of electronic issue that we're having, and it's a bit of a trend that we'll see throughout all this bashing. And yeah, the electronics really do start to let this buggy down. If it's not the ESC just flapping around and coming loose, it's cables disconnecting all over the place. Oh, steering's gone. That's it. Could be it's just disconnected. Yep. We're good to go again. So yes, it's the electronics letting things down again. I know it's only a loose connection, but it happened twice while I was out. So you definitely want to get some hot glue out just to tap down that servo connection. Otherwise, every time you're giving it a bit of a bash, it's just going to come disconnected. So we got a dodgy wheel, which I think, is it just come loose? Uh-oh. That's the end of that then.
Several days later.
So we're back again, and I've put the wheel back on. Yes, I think that was just down to me not having the wheel tight enough, even though it's a lock nut. So let's carry on this beautiful day. I don't think it was very fair that just the wheel fell off. So let's try again. Now, throughout all this bashing, nothing on the chassis actually broke at all. Yeah, believe it or not. So I have to say, even though this car has got some serious issues with it, the chassis itself definitely can hold up to a good bit of abuse. Oh! Can you see that lip? So a few upgrades would definitely suit this car. I would swap out the suspension, that's the first thing. Second, I would put a more powerful ESC and a brushless setup in it. And third, I would get rid of these wheels and tyres, as the rubber is a little bit hard and that offset is just too much. But you could get some softer tyres. I think that would really up the performance of this. Whoa. Then later on, probably a faster servo, and then I think you've got yourself a decent car. The problem is that if you add up all that, you might as well just go and buy something else, and that's kind of disappointing. The ESC's fallen out. So let's cut straight to it. Would I recommend this to anyone? And the answer will be no, not in its current form. Now, I think they've actually got a reasonable chassis. It was very strong, the arms are strong, and I did bash it for quite a long time. No issues whatsoever. But there's so many fundamental flaws with this, and being that this market is so competitive, you can just buy better. So I wouldn't get one of these and then invest the money to make this one better. The electronics, it's too slow, it needs brushless in it. It needs a better ESC. The running gear needs to be sorted out. It's too stiff. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Whether they put too stiff oil in the diffs or it's just the gearing side of it. I don't know, because the motor just can't cope with it. And it just is slow and sluggish. But I think it's pretty strong, but again, suspension lets it down as well, so you've got to spend more money on that. So really, this one is pretty horrific. We've had some really good cars in this price point, in this area. Maybe not 1/10, more 1/12, but if you're going to go down to a skate park, a 1/12 that's got brushes in it, that's super nippy, because it's lighter, it's going to take that abuse anyway. It's just a real shame. I think the manufacturers could fix this problem, but then how much more are they going to charge for it? I don't know. So on that note, yeah, definitely don't buy this. Probably one of the worst cars I've ever reviewed, if I'm honest. See you on the next one. Bye bye.